Journeys to East Jerusalem. Beneath a canopy of azure skies, where cotton-white clouds lazily drift, a patchwork of verdant fields and undulating ridges unfold. Meandering rivers carve through the landscape, while towering edifices punctuate the scenery. Roads, mere ribbons of gray, seem as slender as toy tracks from this lofty vantage. This panoramic view, glimpsed from the skies, transcends borders and knows no distinctions. It's a view of the world from above. The plane, which had embarked from Dulles Airport near Washington, D.C., the previous evening, now approaches Tel Aviv, Israel. Despite the direct route, the journey has stretched to a full 11 hours. A thunderstorm during takeoff and a 7-hour time difference between D.C. and Tel Aviv have made it past 5 p.m., and evening is casting long shadows. Dulles Airport had been an eerie expanse, a stark contrast to the bustling scene at Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. As the coronavirus continued its relentless march, tourists had retreated, and even business travel was curtailed unless absolutely necessary. The world had gone into a state of hushed stasis. Yet, here, on the cusp of two worlds, throngs of travelers converge. At the passport control, dozens of lines snake through the terminal. Israeli passport holders occupy nearly half, with the rest reserved for foreigners, each of which extends into an orderly queue. Since there is no line for diplomats, I am waiting in a line for foreign passport holders. I retrieve two UNLP's United Nations laissez-passer documents, one for Israel and the other for Palestine, from my bag, accompanied by the official invitation letter. It's prudent to maintain separate UNLPs when venturing into Palestine. Israeli security can be reluctant to stamp the same passport bearing a Palestinian visa. Additionally, the World Bank office in Jerusalem issued an official letter as an extra precaution. The Israel passport control has been notorious for nitpicking about any visit to Palestine. Yet, at the airport checkpoint, the security guard barely glances at the special letter I hand over. His inquiry is succinct: "Have you recently visited China, Korea, or Italy?" I reply with a clear, short no, receiving in return a small paper embossed with an instant photograph, marked February 27, 2020. Upon exiting the control, I scan the waiting area for Raid, a taxi driver arranged by the World Bank Jerusalem office. He stands there, a tall, slender figure in blue jeans, holding a placard with my name. With a big nose and dark brown, brushy hair and mustache, he reminds me of Mario, the main character from the Mario Kart game my kids used to play. "Hi, I'm Yun from the World Bank," I offer in greeting. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Raid. My flight got delayed because of the thunderstorm in D.C., and then here at the airport it was crowded without a diplomatic line." "Don't worry. I didn't wait long," Raid responds, helping with my luggage. "I checked your flight schedule and arrived accordingly. Usually, they have a special line for diplomats. I hope it wasn't too much trouble waiting. I'm specialized here in picking up diplomats and visitors from international institutions. Every week I pick up several people at this airport and drive to Jerusalem or Ramallah or vice versa." He assures me with an affable smile. Stepping into the open air, I see a line of gleaming white taxis queued outside the airport. Curiosity tugs at me, wondering why the World Bank office recommended Raid for a taxi. Is it safe to take one of these waiting taxis in case you weren't available? Yes, they are safe. But most of these drivers are Jewish. They avoid traveling to Palestinian areas. The American colony hotel you're headed to is in East Jerusalem, Palestinian territory. Jewish drivers don't go there. If you wish to go to Ramallah in the West Bank, Jewish drivers will take you to Jerusalem, and you'd have to switch to another car. They can't cross certain checkpoints. I can drive clients wherever they need to go. I can't help but inquire further, like an inquisitive child in the back seat. Is there a special allowance that lets you cross these areas freely? Are there legal restrictions for travelers entering Tel Aviv and then going to the West Bank through Jerusalem? Raid provides answers in a calm, measured tone. There are no legal restrictions. It's more about Jewish drivers being unfamiliar with Palestinian areas. They prefer not to go there. As I watch the ever-changing landscape, a patchwork of vibrant, emerald fields reminiscent of Camille Pissarro's paintings unfurls before us. The fields look exceptionally lush, I remark, marveling at the verdant expanse. Raid explains as we speed along the highway, "We've had rain for a few days. Rainfall here is a rarity, so the fields usually have a golden hue. After the rain, the brilliant green is truly splendid." Soon, we encounter winding mountain ridges that conjure images of the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. Bathed in the blush of a pink-hued sunset, the pastel silhouette of the ridges exudes a pastoral tranquility, as if a flock of sheep slumbers upon them. Our journey is punctuated by highways flanked by sheer, rocky cliffs, reminiscent of landscapes found in the depths of Colorado. The 70-kilometer route from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, just an hour's drive, presents a condensed tour of breathtaking scenery. Raid draws my attention to a towering building illuminated in the darkening evening. Over there, that's the Millennium Hotel in Ramallah, where you'll stay beginning Sunday. It's a mere 20 kilometers away, but you'll need to pass through an Israeli checkpoint. In the World Bank shuttle, you'll encounter no issues. For Palestinians, these checkpoints can be quite burdensome, schedules vary, and long delays are not uncommon. During my flight booking, I discovered that although there are 4 airports in the West Bank and Gaza, where Palestinians reside, they have long remained closed, obliging all Palestinians to enter and exit through Israel. The city's luminous orange lights shimmer in the distance, while Raid points to his left. We are entering Jerusalem. To your left is East Jerusalem. You're aware of the Six-Day War in 1967, aren't you? Before the war, East Jerusalem was under Jordanian control. Following the war, it became part of Israel. I inquire, do Palestinians in East Jerusalem have voting rights, then? Raid responds matter-of-factly, without a hint of bitterness, no, they hold permanent resident status without political power. Surprisingly, I can't detect any resentment in his voice. The idea of Palestinians suppressing their emotions reminds me of the Zainichi Koreans living in Japan. Born and raised in Japan, Zainichi Koreans are the descendants of Koreans conscripted during the Japanese colonial era. Following the Treaty of San Francisco in 1952, which stripped Koreans of their Japanese citizenship, the rights of Zainichi Koreans were restricted. They continued to face deportation like foreigners, despite living in Japan their entire lives. As we take the last turn, approaching the hotel's driveway, Raid comes to a halt. Here we are at the American Colony Hotel. I hope your stay here is enjoyable. Should you require further transportation, you have my contact details, right? I settle the fare in US dollars. Palestine, lacking international recognition, doesn't possess its own currency. In my journeys to East Jerusalem, I sadly see a recurrent theme, an age-old story. The strong exert power over the weak. The ongoing pandemic serves as a reminder that humanity is inextricably linked. Here I find not just ever-changing landscapes, but history and humanity at the crossroads. February 2020. Over 2 weeks have passed since the Israeli-Palestinian war broke out on October 7, 2023. Praying for a speedy end to their tragedy, I share a poem by Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish.
Identity card. Write down. I am an Arab, and my identity card number is 50,000. I have 8 children, and the 9th will come after this summer. Will you be angry? Write down. I am an Arab, employed with fellow workers at a quarry. I have 8 children. I get them bread, garments and books from the rocks. I do not supplicate charity at your doors, nor do I belittle myself at the footsteps of your chamber. So will you be angry? Write down. I am an Arab. I have a name without a title. Patient in a country where people are enraged. My roots were entrenched before the birth of time, and before the opening of the eras, before the pines and the olive trees, and before the grass grew. My father descends from the family of the plow, not from a privileged class, and my grandfather was a farmer, neither well-bred nor well-born. Teaches me the pride of the sun, before teaching me how to read. And my house is like a watchman's hut, made of branches and cane. Are you satisfied with my status? I have a name without a title. Write down. I am an Arab. You have stolen the orchards of my ancestors, and the land which I cultivated, along with my children. and you left nothing for us, except for these rocks. So will the state take them, as it has been said? Therefore, write down on the top of the first page, I do not hate Popal, nor do I encroach. But if I become hungry, the usurper's flesh will be my food. Beware, beware of my hunger and my anger.